Hello and welcome back to my channel. On this channel, I share my personal investing journey with full transparency. If you are tuning in for the first time, I encourage you to explore my YouTube channel for my transparent portfolio, information about my portfolio updates, company analysis, and more. Before we get into this video, let me clarify that I am not a SEBI registered advisor. Everything I share here is through my personal experience, and nothing in this video should be considered a stock recommendation. Do your own research or consult a financial advisor before investing, and avoid acting on any stock tips you receive. In this video, I am revealing my investment thesis, which I use as a guiding principle before investing in any company. It has evolved over years of experience. Initially, when I started investing, I was only fond of financial analysis and PE multiple valuation. But now, there is a lot more. Well, this intense investment philosophy helps me avoid mistakes, but it doesn't guarantee it. Let's get started. Let me answer, how do I want to build my wealth? Well, it is through long-term capital appreciation. Yes, I want to use compounding at its best, the way it was used by great investors like Warren Buffett, Charlie Munger, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Monish Pabrai, Radhakrishan Damani, and more. I will make separate videos on their investment philosophies and journeys. If you are interested, just let me know in the comments. I strictly adhere to no trading. Yes, you heard me right. Strictly no trading in stocks, commodities, or futures and options. This is because the philosophies involved in trading are for short term gains and completely contradicting long term compounding philosophies. Also, I will not be buying or trading in cryptocurrencies, NFTs, or even investing in arts. They are considered very speculative in nature and their value cannot be derived from fundamentals. Also, I am mindful about my expenses. So, after taking care of my short-term liquidity, I invest in stock market so that I don't need to sell any of my holdings to manage short-term expenses. Now coming to my buying philosophy, I invest as if I am buying a complete business. You might be thinking, what's the difference? Buying stakes would be less risky as investors have the opportunity to sell the stakes on any trading day. But buying a complete business involves a high amount of due diligence, right from company's business model to its governance analysis. It also involves a thorough analysis of every major decision taken by the company, asking questions during quarterly calls, AGMs, and voting accordingly during e-voting opportunity. Let's go deeper into what I buy. I invest in businesses that have proven track record. I look at companies that have been publicly listed for more than 10 years, as it gives enough data to analyze business cycles, how the business performed during uncertainties, reasons for its financial outperformance over competitors, and red flag analysis involving negative news about the business. Secondly, I buy companies with significant moats or competitive advantages over their competitors. I will explain how I do my competitive advantage analysis further in this video, so keep watching. Now coming to what I completely avoid. First, as explained earlier, I avoid cryptocurrency, NFTs, and art. Second, companies at the peak of Gartner hype cycle. I look at recent 2 years of hype cycles and completely avoid companies working on technologies at the peak of these cycles. You can see Gartner hype cycle for 2023 and 2024 where generative AI, open source, and prompt engineering are seen to be at their peak. It is not just these technologies that are peaking, but also the valuations of businesses working in these areas. You might have heard how startups have created extreme valuations using hype keywords like AI, ML in their funding pitches. These technologies are often part of that trend. I also avoid companies with severe red flags, even if they have the best moats. For example, Facebook, now known as Meta, has gone through tremendous lawsuits in America and has incurred multiple regulatory fines and the loss of executive time. And executive time is very valuable in corporate world. Next point is I completely avoid investing in IPOs. First, because IPOs are generally launched during bull markets to justify higher valuations. Second, they lock in cash and don't guarantee allotment. Third, there is no data of proven track record. Well, I would like to invest in startups and new businesses that are creating value for India's growth story, but not through IPOs. Investing through PE or VC firms seems more logical as it gives more control over business and due diligence. But that requires large amount of capital, which I lack for now at least. Next is when I invest. I invest when there is significant negative news in the market. Yes, you heard me right. I buy when others panic. During such times, prices fall significantly, and I invest when prices have dropped by more than 20%. Negative news can be around company itself, the entire industry, or even Indian markets as a whole, like we are seeing right now. During this negative narrative, I bought multiple businesses that had fallen more than 20% from its peak. You can go through my portfolio and check the prices at which I bought them. Also, many quality companies generally trade much above their intrinsic value, and during these downturns, I am ready to pay up to 20% above the intrinsic value. Now, coming to my holding period, it is ideally forever, but I consider it to be beyond 2047. I want to grow with India's growth story, grow my money with Viksit Bharat mission of 2047, and I will do it transparently through this YouTube channel. Even if I motivate one of you to focus on long term investing rather than short term trading based on random tips, it's a win for me. There is immense opportunity to grow with India, and I am going to exploit it. Now, coming to my due diligence procedure, I analyze companies for their business model, their products or services, followed by distribution and marketing channels, then financial analysis, valuations, ESG, and competitor analysis. My due diligence also involves red flag analysis on pointers mentioned on screen. I have created a detailed video on Tanla platform's company analysis, and I would recommend going through it to dive deeper into my due diligence process. Also, I carry out threat analysis through a framework called PESTLE. I think deeply about how different external scenarios such as political changes, economic policies can affect the business I am analyzing. Now, coming to heart of my analysis, it is analyzing competitive advantages for a business. It takes a lot of effort and time to find out these modes. I check whether the company is using blue ocean strategy to differentiate in the market. Why do consumers prefer their products or services? over competitors? Are there any switching costs involved for customers? Are there any high barriers to entry? How has management navigated the business during uncertain times like COVID? Is the company proactive or reactive to competitors' moves and more? Also, these competitive advantages reflect in financials of the company. I look at margins, ROCE, and turnover ratios for high volume businesses like DMart. If a company has a competitive advantage over its peers, its numbers are significantly better than those of the peers. Next is my rebalancing philosophy. I would ideally like to rebalance once every year to avoid short-term capital gains tax. I do it only for the companies that have moved more than 20% on either sides. But if there is more than 50% movement in any of the stocks, I will use it for rebalancing only after gap of 2 months between any two rebalances. This is a disciplined approach to avoid overexposing or underexposing my holdings to any particular company unless it is intended. One of the important parts, my asset allocation strategy. You already know that I have almost 99.5% in equities. This is because over a long period of time, equities have outperformed every other asset class, may it be real estate, gold, silver, or others. Also, when it comes to domestic versus international diversification, I am very bullish on Indian economy and want to put all my eggs in one basket, the Indian basket. For deciding holdings weightage, I generally prefer equal weight portfolio, but I can be bullish on one company over others in my portfolio. These differences may slightly shift the equal weight portfolio strategy. Also, I do not intend to follow strict industry diversification. I will not hold more than 50% in any particular industry. Now, keeping eggs in one basket is fine, but how many eggs? I diversify across businesses. The minimum I intend to hold is 5 and maximum of 15 to avoid over or under diversification. Currently, I hold 15 stocks, and if I decide to hold more, I need to replace one of the existing business. Strictly no more than 15 stock holdings in my long-term portfolio. But I know you will say that I'm not well diversified. Actually, I am because I follow something called as time diversification. Over a long period of time, compounding works for you. It multiplies business earnings over time. Next is my dividend philosophy. I intend to reinvest every rupee I get as a dividend for capital appreciation. You can see that Nifty 50 CAGR for past 25 years is around 11.5% without dividend reinvestment and around 14% when dividends are reinvested. For compounding to work well, I have decided to reinvest every dividend I get from here. When do I reevaluate all my holdings? Well, I do a complete analysis every year after receiving annual reports, doing all the due diligence again and checking for red flags and threats ahead of time. I also check financials every quarter after quarterly results are announced. Now coming to my selling philosophy, I sell when the original thesis is broken. The reason for which I bought the particular business is no longer viable. I sell when I see management integrity is being compromised, whether the management is working for shareholders or for themselves. I also sell when better opportunities emerge. As I said earlier, I now hold 15 companies and adding another requires me to sell one of the existing ones. Also, I may decide to sell when market dynamics shift or due to reputational or regulatory risks, but I won't be panic selling any of my holdings just because they have gone down significantly. Next is tax philosophy. I would anytime prefer long-term capital gains tax over STCG, but some of the rebalances may trigger STCG too. Also, I will perform tax loss harvesting when any of my holdings go down by more than 20%. The way our Indian constitution needs amendments, my investment philosophy will also need amendments over time. It would be driven by learnings from mistakes and through a new learnings in finance. Tell me what you like the most about my investment philosophies. Do you follow any of the philosophy? Share in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with anyone who wants to start investing smartly. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the time. I will keep producing quality content for all of you and you don't have to miss it. Stay invested.